Sir, do you realize agriculture is the less than break-even state right now in Iowa?
I know that farmers are hurting, and
why are you trying to put salt onto the injury by wanting to take away our subsidies to biofuels?
Well, sir, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You made that statement. Don't tell me you're not. But you're going to keep it for the big oil people in Texas.
Sir, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but not to yell. If you want to have a conversation,
I'll quit yelling.
Okay, I'm happy to have a conversation, but if I'll treat you respectfully.
I don't understand it.
Well, I'm happy to answer the question.
You're not going to get many votes tonight.
Well, I hope that doesn't prove the case.
Not doing that. Not being for going against subsidies to biofuels. Biofuels is a big part of our income.
Sir, do you want me to answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So my view, number one, when it comes to farmers, there is no one that will fight harder for farmers against Washington than I will. You talk about farmers struggling right now.
That's right.
Big part of the reason farmers are struggling is because Washington is making it harder and harder to do your job. You're seeing things like the EPA coming after you. You're seeing things like the Waters of the United States rule. As president, I'm going to rescind the Waters of the United States rule. That's going away when I'm president. Also, as president, I'm going to end the death tax. You want to talk about something that is harming farmers. As you know, the death tax is cruel to farmers.
Exactly.
But let's talk in particular about RFS and ethanol. So my view on energy is that we have enormous resources here, and we should pursue all of the above. Every energy resource we have, we should pursue. We should pursue oil and gas and coal and nuclear and wind and solar and ethanol and biofuels and all of that.
Okay.
But at the same time, I believe that Washington shouldn't pick winners and losers, and there should be no mandates and no subsidies anywhere across the board on energy. That it should be a level playing.
Oh, you'll leave it for oil?
No, that's not the case. And indeed, my tax plan, if you look at the tax plan that I am running on, it eliminates every mandate, every subsidy. There's no mandates or subsidies for oil, for gas, for wind, for solar, for anybody. It's across the board, a level playing field. And let me mention...
How many dollars are you going to cut out of the budget doing that?
So I've put out a spending plan of cutting $500 billion from the budget altogether. I don't have the number on how much is from the subsidies and mandates, so, but I do have a spending. But let's talk for a second about the RFS, because there are a lot of folks, a lot of lobbyists and Democrats who are spending a bunch of money trying to convince Iowans that I oppose ethanol, and it's not true. Here's my view on what should happen. I do believe we should phase out the RFS over 5 years, and I've submitted legislation to do that, in the context of eliminating every other subsidy so it's a level playing field. But let me mention a different government regulation that I think is much, much more important to Iowa farmers and ethanol than is the RFS, and that is the EPA's blend law. So right now the EPA has a hard blend law where it is functionally illegal to sell gasoline with a higher mix of ethanol than typically E10 or E15.
It is.
And as a result, as you know, we're already bumping up against the RFS, and basically the EPA is capping ethanol that the market cannot grow.
Yeah.
I have pledged as president to rescind the ethanol blend law, which means that it will be legal to sell mid-level blends of ethanol, E25, E30.
Now, we're doing it now.
But it's not widely available.
Right over here at Allentown at the gas station.
But you can only do that right now. You can only put that in a flex fuel vehicle that takes E85.
No, you can't.
What they don't sell in the U.S. are automobiles with engines optimized for E25 or E30. They sell them in Europe and they sell them in Brazil. They don't sell them here because it is largely illegal to sell the mid-level blends. And I will tell you, an individual that I would encourage you to visit with, who's standing right over there, is a fellow named Dave Vandergraaf. Well, let me tell you who Dave is. Dave has built more than half of the ethanol plants in the state of Iowa. So, like you, he makes his entire living.
Is he with Poet?
Huh?
Is he with Poet?
You can visit with him right now. He has built more than half of the ethanol plants in Iowa. There's no one that knows more about the ethanol industry than Dave. He's built ethanol plants in Iowa and all over the country. Dave has estimated that eliminating the blend wall so that we can have widespread availability of E25 and E30 will result potentially in the increase of ethanol in the energy market by 60%, a massive increase. Right now, ethanol is capped, and the lobbyists are trying to convince the people of Iowa to keep the RFS there because that keeps Iowa dependent on Washington.
But every week they're producing more ethanol right here in Iowa.
But
all my corn goes right over here to Hamlintown, Iowa.
But you can't get it to the market above where the blend wall is. And if we lower the blend wall, the impact, if I'm elected president, the impact for Iowa farmers, the market for ethanol will be much bigger than it is right now. And it won't be through a mandate or a subsidy. It will simply be repealing an unreasonable regulation and enabling ethanol to compete on a level playing field. And I'll mention also someone else.
And bio oil, soybean oil.
No, all of the above. Someone else.
Wind power.
Everything. Someone else who's here. There's been no stronger fighter for Iowa farmers than Steve King. Steve King has been a ferocious defender of Iowa farmers. There's a reason Steve is with me and on this bus tour, because Steve recognizes that I am passionate about fighting for a fair and open energy marketplace with a level playing field. And so I would encourage you to visit with Dave Vandergrind. This is a man who's made his entire living in the ethanol industry. And ask him his views, because he's an expert. You can ask him, listen, is this politician, is he telling me the truth, or is this more hot air? There's a lot of hot air from politicians. So that's a good instinct to start with. But I would just have a conversation with him. And I give you my word, I mean everything I say. That when I say no favoritism, that's for anybody, and a level playing field is going to benefit Iowa farmers by expanding the marketplace and enabling you to sell more corn and more ethanol.
Senator, let me get a picture of you.
I hope that the votes come in for you, but you know what? These farmers right now don't like it.
Well, I understand, but I will tell you also, and we've got a lot of farmers supporting us, I can tell you this, the people that are spending money trying to convince farmers are lobbyists and Democrats that, frankly, many of them are more interested in pushing amnesty and gay marriage, and they think they can scare voters on these issues. So I would just encourage you to keep an open mind.
Yep.
And look at the facts. And I would encourage you to have, where is Dave?
I better not take you away from everybody else.
Hey, thank you, sir, for being here.
I'm just a dumb old farmer.
Look, you're the backbone of this country. Texas is a huge agricultural state. I value the work you do. And we've got to have a president who fights for the men and women in this country who are working. They're getting hammered right now in the Obama economy. And that's going to change.
Okay.
And you have my word on that, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator, right here. Let's get a photo of you, sir.
Sure.